February 28, 2026, around 9:30 a.m., on Pasteur Street in Tehran, the capital of Iran, the United States and Israel jointly launched an unprecedented military operation. The operation was named Operation Epic Fury.
The United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury.
In the attack, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed.
Ayatollah Khamenei is dead.
At a time when highly significant negotiations over Iran's nuclear program were underway in Geneva, Switzerland, mediated by Oman, many believed a diplomatic solution was within reach. Yet amid that optimism, an event like Operation Epic Fury suddenly unfolded. In this strike, not only Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, but also several other top leaders lost their lives. US President Donald Trump declared the attack a major combat operation and directly called on the Iranian people to overthrow their government. He stated, "When our job is finished, you will take control of your government. This may be your only opportunity for generations." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu urged Iranians to break free from what he described as the yoke of tyranny. But the question remains, is it truly possible to bring down a long-established and deeply entrenched system of governance in a country solely through airstrikes, or by eliminating its top leader? Will America's plan for regime change actually succeed? Or will it push the Middle East toward yet another endless and bloody conflict? We will attempt to explore these questions in today's episode of Documaz. The surprise attack under Operation Epic Fury was primarily aimed at assassinating Iran's top leadership and crippling the governing system, what is known in military terminology as a decapitation strategy. According to Israel's claims, it destroyed Iran's air defense system, particularly the ASS-65 installation located in the Kerman region. In the attack, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed, along with Defense Minister Amin Nasirzadeh and the top commander of the Revolutionary Guard, Mohammad Pakpour. Israeli media outlets have also claimed that Iran's president, Masoud Pezeshkian, was one of the primary targets of the strike. The United States and Israel believe that removing the top leadership would cause Iran's Islamic governing system to collapse rapidly. Donald Trump had previously attempted to apply a similar strategy in Venezuela. He may be hoping for comparable results in Iran. Trump called on Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, and other armed forces to surrender their weapons, warning that otherwise they would face certain death. However, many experts question how effective such a strategy would be against a state like Iran. The hostility between the United States and Iran is not recent. After the 1979 Islamic Revolution and the seizure of the US Embassy in Tehran, a lasting enmity began between the two countries. During his first term, Trump unilaterally withdrew the United States from the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, also known as the Iran nuclear deal. That agreement, negotiated under the Obama administration, had served as an effective diplomatic mechanism to restrain Iran's nuclear program. After Trump labeled it weak and canceled it, a new phase of crisis effectively began. Earlier, in June 2025, a 12-day intense war took place between Iran and Israel, along with the United States. During that conflict, Iran's nuclear facilities were heavily targeted. As a result, Trump claimed that he had completely obliterated Iran's nuclear capability. However, less than a year later, invoking the same nuclear threat to justify renewed military action has brought renewed scrutiny and criticism of his claims. For Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, this war is politically advantageous. Israel's general elections are scheduled to take place toward the end of the year. Drawing from 2 years of war with Hamas in Gaza, Netanyahu believes that Israel's internal political position becomes more consolidated when the country is at war. Therefore, even for the sake of maintaining internal politics and power, this war serves as a trump card for Israel. Looking back at history, we see that no country's government has ever been overthrown solely through airstrikes. In 2003, the United States had to deploy a massive ground force to topple Saddam Hussein in Iraq. In 2011, when Libya's Muammar Gaddafi was removed from power, NATO's airstrikes were combined with the direct involvement of rebel ground forces. And in both cases, the result was total state collapse, prolonged civil war, and the deaths of thousands. Iran's Islamic governing system does not depend on a single individual. For nearly half a century, they have built a complex political and military structure, one that survives on a cohesive network of ideology and strict governance. Currently, within the community, no other top religious leader could fill that position without the support of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC. Because martyrdom and self-sacrifice are an essential part of Shia Islam and Iran's state ideology. So, Thinking that the IRGC would surrender easily under Trump's general offer of amnesty is sheer folly, nothing less. According to Diba Mirzaye, an analyst at Germany's Global and Radius Studies Institute, America is essentially using the nuclear threat as a pretext for this war. Trump is primarily aiming to use this military operation to provoke an internal popular uprising in Iran. However, Friedrich Ebert Steve Chung's expert, Marcus Snyder, believes that relying solely on airstrikes and expecting ordinary people to successfully revolt against a government during wartime is purely wishful thinking. In his speech, Donald Trump outlined 4 main objectives of the operation: destroying Iran's nuclear program, crippling its ballistic missile capabilities, dismantling the Navy, and ultimately, toppling Iran's governing system. But how realistic are these goals? First, regarding the nuclear program, experts say that airstrikes may damage nuclear facilities, but technological knowledge, or the technological know-how, cannot simply be erased with bombs. According to Marcus Snyder, Iran possesses the expertise to operate this technology, making complete destruction nearly impossible.
Secondly, destroying ballistic missiles. Iran's missile technology is entirely dependent on domestic production. They do not import these missiles from abroad. During last year's 12-day conflict, Iran demonstrated that it is fully capable of producing powerful missiles on its own. While airstrikes could destroy some warehouses or factories, completely eliminating this capability would take a significant amount of time. Third, destroying the Navy. A large part of Iran's naval force is composed of small, fast attack boats, capable of guerrilla-style strikes in the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. Military analysts believe that these cannot be entirely destroyed within a week. And the fourth objective, toppling the government, would likely require the United States to deploy ground forces. In a well-organized state like Iran, expecting the population to revolt and bring down the government is, frankly, wishful thinking. The attack by the US and Israel has sparked mixed reactions among Iranians. On one hand, the memory of thousands of deaths and harsh crackdowns during anti-government protests last January still burns in the minds of ordinary citizens. According to a report by BBC, some Iranian citizens who wish for the end of this authoritarian regime have expressed a sense of relief or even joy over the attack. Videos circulating on social media show people near Khamenei's residence expressing relief at the news. Some teenage girls were even seen expressing admiration for Trump. Text messages have reportedly reached many Iranian citizens, urging them to stay home and call on government forces to surrender. However, on the other hand, there is intense anger and fear over civilian casualties, particularly in Minab County in southern Iran, after news spread of at least 108 deaths at a girls' primary school due to the Israeli strike. Public sentiment began to shift rapidly. An Iranian expatriate wrote on social media, "The first victims of this war are the girls of Minab. Are you cheering for this war?"
After this devastating attack, internet connections in Tehran and other major cities have been almost completely cut off. Some people are trying to communicate with the outside world using Starlink satellites or VPNs. Many are crowding gas stations and fleeing toward the Caspian Sea, thinking it is a comparatively safe area. Meanwhile, Iran has wasted no time in striking back. Ballistic missiles have been launched at US military outposts in Israel and Gulf Arab states. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, is calling this the Truthful Promise Forward operation. Missiles have targeted the US 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain and the Ali Al Salim airbase in Kuwait. Jordan and the United Arab Emirates have reported successfully intercepting multiple incoming missiles. However, in the UAE, debris from a missile strike killed a civilian.
The most dangerous aspect of this conflict is Iran's extensive proxy network. Armed groups such as Hezbollah in Lebanon, Houthi rebels in Yemen, and Al-Hashd al-Sha'abi in Iraq could become fully engaged in the conflict at any moment. Hussein Ebi, a senior researcher at Washington's Arab Gulf States Institute, warned that although Israeli strikes over the past year have caused some damage to Hezbollah, they remain heavily armed and capable of launching significant attacks at any time. Meanwhile, Houthi rebels in Yemen have already demonstrated their ability to disrupt global shipping in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. If Iran orders its proxy groups to launch all-out attacks against the United States, the entire Middle East could descend into a catastrophic regional battlefield, and the global economy is already feeling the impact. George Leon, a geopolitical analyst at Visistar Energy, warned that if the conflict is not quickly contained,
The price of Brent crude oil could spike by $10 to $20 per barrel as soon as markets open. Iran is the third largest oil producer in OPEC, and a huge portion of the world's energy supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz. After the US and Israeli attacks, no ships are being allowed to transit through the strait. Global airlines, from Lufthansa, Emirates, Qatar Airways, to British Airways, have cancelled or suspended most flights in the Middle East. Donald Trump has entered this war at a time when the American public has little appetite for another foreign conflict. Recent polls show that only 27% of Americans support military action against Iran, and another survey puts that number at just 21%. With US midterm elections approaching, failure to achieve any visible success in this war could trigger a major political disaster for Trump and the Republican Party. If the war drags on and American soldiers are killed, the Democrats could regain control of Congress, and pressure for Trump's impeachment could increase. Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, have repeatedly promised to take America out of forever wars and endless foreign conflicts. Yet here they are, once again embroiled in the largest war in the Middle East, a situation that could even disappoint their staunchest supporters.
On the international stage, this attack has drawn severe criticism. Volker Turk, head of the United Nations Human Rights Commission, called the conflict a violation of international law and urged all parties to return quickly to the negotiating table. The European Union's top diplomat, Josep Borrell, described the situation as extremely dangerous. Emmanuel Macron, Friedrich Merz, and Keir Starmer issued a joint statement calling on Iran to refrain from retaliatory attacks and to seek a diplomatic solution. The United Kingdom made it clear that it did not participate directly in the attack. However, it remains prepared to protect its interests and allies in the Middle East, with British warplanes patrolling the skies. Russia condemned the attack as a reckless measure, describing it as a destructive strategy conducted outside the negotiation process. Oman's foreign minister, Badr al-Busaidi, who had been mediating the talks, expressed his frustration, saying yet again an effective dialogue had been derailed. The argument by the United States and Israel for this preemptive strike, a so-called preemptive military targeting, does not hold under international law. There was no evidence of an imminent or immediate threat. This was, fundamentally, a planned war. They assumed that economic pressure and internal protests had weakened Iran's current government, and thus, this was the prime time to strike. But the reality is that Middle Eastern politics and social structures are extremely complex. Dropping bombs from the sky alone cannot topple a highly organized state built on ideology and strong military structure. Trump may be hoping that the Iranian people will overthrow their government on their own. However, continued airstrikes, civilian deaths, and widespread destruction could make the population even more nationalistic. The biggest danger of this war is that once it starts, no one can predict where it will end. If America becomes entangled in yet another prolonged and bloody conflict while attempting to topple Iran's governing system, the consequences will extend far beyond the Middle East. The entire world could feel the impact.